Hello, everybody. Listen, this is your girl, Monica Roxanne Rieger, and I am live from home in New Jersey. Tonight is the start of Thrive with Me, Living Boldly with PCOS. So I'm going to give everybody a half a second to get into the room. I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you and telling my story with PCOS because next month is actually PCOS Awareness Month. And so starting a little early to get everyone ready and geared up for supporting those who have PCOS, as this is a life condition, and many of us are still trying to figure out how to make it balance. So I'm going to give everyone a half a second. So if you're on tonight, if you would do me a favor and share this live, I'm going to do the same thing. How is everybody doing tonight? How is it going? It's a Thursday night. Looking super, super excited for the weekend. Let's go. Absolutely love hanging out with you guys. All right, we're giving everybody a half a second to jump on tonight. There's so much going on, but I will not tally all night. I usually don't shoot from my home office. I usually am in a different part of the house where my studio is, but this is a little bit more intimate, so you get to hear a little bit about myself. So if you jump on, let me know where you're coming from. How is everything going? It's the weekend almost. It's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Yay, we made it. We made it. All right, guys. So with all that being said, listen. So tonight, good evening, everyone. Tonight, welcome to my first session, Thrive with Me, Living Boldly with PCOS. I am so glad you're here with me. And we are actually live right now on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So make sure you hop over either of those. Either you're watching me on Facebook, great. Let me know that you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube watching me, or Instagram, just send a comment and say where you're watching from. But I want to take the time to thank you for, spending a little bit of time with me this evening as we talk about polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I love knowing that if you don't watch it live tonight, that you'll definitely watch it later. And essentially, I'm going to start this off. This is a 6-week series. And tonight, we're going to talk about my particular journey with PCOS. Next week, we're going to talk about and dive deeper into the symptoms of PCOS and how that really impacts your day-to-day. We're even probably talk more about being cured versus healed. There's a lot of controversy around that. But tonight, we're going to talk about myself and I, yeah. But my hope tonight, as I share my personal journey, is that you walk away encouraged, that you walk away informed, and you are reminded that you're not alone. And so I am hoping that tonight it is an excitement that all of us take an opportunity to take some notes, because we all have someone in our lives that either is experiencing symptoms that may lead them to PCOS, may lead them that they may have PCOS, or we may have someone that's maybe experiencing similar symptoms. They may have other metabolic conditions such as endometriosis or fibromyalgia. I think I'm saying that wrong, of course. But I think it's really important that we are informed, and being informed is really important these days. So before I get to my story, I want to take a pause and really talk about what is PCOS, right? Because no one really understands what PCOS stands for. And so PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome. And it's really a hormonal and metabolic condition that affects about 1 in 10 or 1 in 5, depending on the population of women and people with ovaries of childbearing age. It's one of the most common disorders and metabolic disorders. And so what I want to be clear about is most of the time you may have a form of PCOS or a type of PCOS. And so it's important to really have that conversation and to ensure that you're informed of what to look for and then how to have conversations with your doctor, because really it comes down to time, the type of symptoms that you're displaying, and then actually being able to track that. So you want to build a health portfolio over time so they can truly say or diagnose you with PCOS. And one of the bigger issues with having PCOS is that it's often misdiagnosed or misunderstood. And some of the features of, or some of the symptoms that you will see with someone who has PCOS is hormone imbalance, insulin resistance, irregular periods, or sometimes if you get a ultrasound, you may see cysts on your ovaries. Okay. And again, the symptoms of PCOS vary extremely. Some people may just have the cyst, but not the insulin resistance. Some people may have irregular periods, but not the cyst. Most times I find that there's some hormonal balance either way. You may have higher levels of testosterone. You may have, which is going to increase the level of hair in the places that we don't want it. We may see some other symptoms like hair thinning and some of those things. We'll talk about that later and next week. So symptoms are very different from person to person. So it's extremely important that you're working with your primary healthcare provider or a endocrinologist to actually build a portfolio, a history of some of the symptoms that you're experiencing. All right. And again, if someone has PCOS or a metabolic disorder, many will experience, because your hormones are off, because you have insulin resistance, because you're not having regular periods, or you may have ovaries. Sometimes you may experience infertility, adult acne or aggressive acne, excessive hair growth. I just talked about, increased testosterone, or you may have the reverse side effect of hair thinning where you really want it to. Where you don't want it to sit thin. You don't want it the hair on the chin, but somehow you get that, right? You'll get the dark patches around your neck and some other things. And while others may struggle with mood swings, you'll see it, a person that really struggles with their weight. And then also, again, the common symptom is the irregular cycles. It's really important that tonight that I talk about that PCOS isn't just about your periods, right? It's not just about your fertility either. It's a whole body condition. It's important that we understand that PCOS affects not just your hormones or your reproductive abilities, but it also affects your mental state. It affects your body, how you feel, inflammation, the things that are going on with your body. It's really important that we understand this is a whole body condition, and it's not something that is just predicated or specific to one symptom. So let's see, who do we have in the room? Checking in the room. We have a few people that are jumping in from Instagram. We have a few people in Facebook. Totally dope. I'm super excited that you guys are hanging out with me today. So it's, again, PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome can affect any woman or person that has ovaries in a childbearing age. Now, it's not, a death sentence or anything, but it is something that you're going to have to intentionally take control of. You can't allow PCOS or their symptoms to define who you are or drive you or guide you. You have to be intentional. And that's very difficult because I have PCOS and OMG, it's a journey every single day. So let me share a little bit more about what PCOS or the impact that PCOS has had in the community. And I just want to be clear that PCOS goes beyond just the person that is experiencing the symptoms. If you have a significant other, a loved one, you have children, you have a daughter or a sister-in-law or sister or a friend that may have PCOS, it impacts them too, because oftentimes they are not sure how to help. So they feel that they're not able to support you in such a way when they really just want to be able to support you. And that's very challenging, but I encourage you all to understand that it's just the impact goes beyond one person. PCOS is the leading cause of infertility worldwide. So not just in the US, not just in North America, but worldwide. And it could take, for many, like myself, it could take up to 7 to 10 years before getting the proper diagnosis. So it's important that you work with your primary caregiver. And if you're a primary caregiver, meaning your primary doctor, your primary specialist, if they're not giving you the service that you are deserving, then find someone else. But you must take ownership of your health and your health portfolio. If something's wrong, keep asking questions, keep pestering, keep researching. And we're in 2025. And so there's not enough resources out here yet, but there's plenty of resources, more resources than it was in early 2000, and definitely more resources than the 90s and 80s. Okay. So it could take approximately 7 to 10 years before even getting a proper diagnosis. And that's almost a decade of going through or even being either dismissed or misunderstood your symptoms. So let me apologize to anyone right now that you're not by yourself, because I don't know how many times I have expressed over the time before my diagnosis that my periods were sparse, and then I'll have a cycle, and the cycle's on for 6 weeks. It was just the wildest thing I've ever experienced. And it was very difficult trying to explain it, because in my culturally, they're like, oh, you're just growing and you'll be fine, or etc. And that's not the case. We have to take a better or embrace and understand the better experience of what people are trying or experience with having PCOS. So don't dismiss their symptoms. Don't mistake it as being misunderstood. Let's get to the bottom of it, because it could be a condition that will be with them throughout their lives, and more information is important to manage. So PCOS is also known to increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, because if you know anything about hormone imbalance, you could, if you're insulin resistant, that means that your body's not processing sugar, or it's not processing sugar right with your bloodstream. And so that can make you insulin resistant. On top of that, you may have too much insulin in your body, which means that's going to force your body to go into a state of starvation, because your body thinks, hey, I'm not getting enough insulin, which is what feeds your blood cells. And then you will have too much insulin because it's not processing properly. And then at that point, you have your cortisol will go up, then you'll start gaining weight in your belly, you'll start getting really that round face. It's the whole 9 of things. And so that becomes very, very challenging. So type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even some types of cancer. And it affects your mental health deeply. Again, remember, it's hormonal imbalance. So that will put additional stress on your body. And then how you feel, you're not feeling well, you don't feel well. Anxiety, depression, and feelings of isolation is often common. And isolation really comes to, I don't feel well. And when I express my symptoms, or I express how I feel, many people just dismiss me. So I want to tell you, I've been there, done that, have the t-shirt and probably the hat too. Do not stop expressing some of the things that you're going through. And despite all of that, PCOS is still, now, again, it impacts over 7 to 10 million women worldwide. And PCOS is still the most underfunded condition and under research compared to any other condition. There's a statistic out that 0.0002% of medical research or funding goes to PCOS research. So that's a big deal, even though it impacts women greatly. So that's why I am here tonight and why I partner with PCOS Awareness Association to raise awareness, to advocate, because it's very critical. And of course, next month is PCOS Awareness Month, and with PCOS Awareness Association, along with other organizations, we're working really hard to push more information and for more research and more resources. So listen, let me know if you're in the comments. I see there's a few people on Instagram and Facebook. I want to make sure that you are letting me know where you're coming from. But listen, it's not the end of the world. It's something that we have to manage, and no one wants to manage PCOS, right? No one wants to, essentially micromanage some of the things that, how we eat, how we feel. It's kind of like you have to be sensitive throughout the day regularly. And so let me try to grab an image of what it looks like for a person to have PCOS or cysts on their ovaries. Let's see. And this image is from ResearchGate. So this is what, if you get a ultrasound of your ovaries, what you'll see here, or what you are seeing, is these are cysts. These are cysts in your ovaries, and they kind of look like an accordion. My ultrasounds actually look exactly like this. And it's really important that you're having those type of conversations with your OBGYN or your endocrinologist or your primary doctor, because it's important. If you are having irregular periods, it's incredibly important that you speak up and say, listen, I may not be having pain, but I'm having symptoms that are similar or that seems or looks like PCOS. So please, for all things great, make sure you ask for an ultrasound so that they can actually take a picture of your ovaries to start to figure out, is it really PCOS or is it something else? So this is what my ovaries look like on a regular basis, if anyone's interested. So let's talk about PCOS and essentially my story, because that's why we're here tonight. So this is where my story really starts, because behind every statistic, there's a person like myself living through all of the symptoms. PCOS has been a part of my life since middle school, high school. Like the moment I got my period, it was a little chaotic. And even though I wasn't really formally diagnosed until much later in life, I knew something was wrong. And so I want to share image here of the types of PCOS. And I want to give a shout out. This imagery is coming from Pelvic Medicine. So thank you so much for providing this. But this is on their website. There's 4 types of PCOS. There's insulin resistant, which is the most common. I am type A insulin resistant, which basically means is that when your pancreas produces insulin, it is your blood cells that actually absorbs that insulin. If your blood cell is not registering or is not processing the insulin properly, which means that it's not identifying that there's insulin in your system, it's going to say, hey, I'm starving. I need more insulin. So your pancreas is going to produce more insulin. Over time, your body's like, I have so much insulin. What do I do with it? It turns it into fat, and usually is around your midsection. So insulin resistant, which means you really have to manage your sugar intake, and your sensitivity of how you're processing sugar. The second is adrenal, which is less common, but is really driven, as it states here, by your abnormal response to stress. So if you are often tired, or you tend to be in an extreme stressful state, you could have PCOS. I am not type A adrenal, but I am type B. So I do show some of those signs. The third type of PCOS is post-pill, which means that you were on some type of birth control pill, and then over time, you've developed symptoms of PCOS because, PCOS has to do with a hormonal imbalance. And so at some point, your body overproduce androgens. And so again, impacting your hormones. And then the fourth type is inflammatory, right? And this really has to do with what your body is producing. Your ovaries is producing excessive androgens, and then it is causing your body to ache. So I'm like 2 and 4. I'm really like minimum on the end, but 1 is I am a classic case of insulin resistance. All right, so I was treated for PCOS symptoms without them actually my doctor asking me. I remember my doctor, Dr. Vanessa Blow, she was in Virginia. I actually started working for my first corporate job, which I had health insurance. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get a physical. And so I went and got a physical, and it was PCOS. I remember her, asking about my hair on my chin. She was asking about my period cycles and all of those things. So she put me on metformin. She gave me birth control. And then she's like, you need to walk at least 30 minutes a day, whatever. And when she did that, now, mind you, she didn't like diagnose me with PCOS, but later on when I moved from Virginia, I actually got my medical history, and she did note on my medical records, patients showing symptoms of PCOS. So she started treating me for PCOS. The exciting part is that when she put me on the treatment plan, and this is early 2000s, so it was still limited information. We're talking like 2003, limited information, limited resources. So metformin was the go-to, birth control was the go-to, exercise, try to lose weight. I actually ended up losing like 37 pounds. Not really necessarily trying hard, but I was active. I was doing a lot more dancing and moving around and doing things that were active. But it was very, I was really excited. So I was like, and this is where here's the misconception. I actually thought that since I've healed my body and I'm more, in this case, stabled, right? That I was cured. And so I didn't need the medication anymore. Well, life was lifing. And so in 2014, and this is several years later, at least over a decade, I moved to Louisiana, again, got a great job and did another physical. And my doctor at that time said, hey, have you ever heard of PCOS? And I was like, no, but I literally thought they were telling me I had some form of cancer or something like that. But anyway, and she says, I think you have PCOS. Let's get an ultrasound. So I did that. And of course, I came back. I had cysts in my ovaries. And with that, she's like, you have PCOS. You need to essentially start with these treatments again, metformin and birth control, exercise. I was anemic due to my heavy periods. Vitamins, she was like, you need to take more vitamin D. It's important to get your vitamin D up, get your iron up, which has been very difficult. And I'm in my 40s and it's still difficult. And so it's been an ongoing battle to really deal with the multitude of symptoms that has just over time either plague me where I've gained weight or I've lost weight. And so the blessing is that I think the heaviest I've ever been, it was like almost 300 pounds or a little over 300 pounds. I was miserable and I felt miserable. Even the brain fog that comes with feeling miserable, like my face was super puffy. I really struggled with movement and just so many other things. So I really wanted to say to everyone is that even though I was treated for PCOS in 2003, I wasn't officially diagnosed with PCOS until 2014, which is right around the average time someone is really receiving their official diagnosis. So I really spent over a decade living with my symptoms and really not understanding without doing additional research what was going on with my body. And so that's why I'm so grateful for organizations like PCOS Awareness Association and others, because it's important to get the information out there. And so I know, like many of you that are listening, you might be going through the same thing. You may know someone that's going through some symptoms. You may have a child that may be showing symptoms. It's okay, and it's not the end of the world, but the earlier we take the time to really deal with it and face it, the more resources are available to those who are catching it early, right? So I wish I would have been more vigilant when I first healed my body and I got down to my ideal weight. I was like right under 200 pounds, which was fantastic because I was totally dope. Losing that weight, feeling better, moving, looking good, able to wear my normal clothes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I wish I would have been more diligent because I did not I thought I cured myself and I had not. So listen, life be life in some days. So let's see who else is in the chat. We have people here. It's just really important, you guys, that, this is my story. I have PCOS. I've had PCOS since middle school, officially diagnosed in 2014, and I am on the rise. I'm doing better, of course. So tonight is really a short night. I really wanted to come on and just share my personal story. I really wanted to open up about my journey and what it's been for me, and the struggles, the lessons learned, the way I've learned to live boldly, despite of having PCOS. And it's hard and it's difficult to talk to people that I love, right? I have so many people in my community that I love to pieces, but the second I tell them I'm insulin resistant, I have to monitor my sugar, they automatically assume that I have diabetes, and that's not the case. I have never been diagnosed with diabetes. I've always been diagnosed with pre-diabetes until I got my A1C down. So exercising, and now they have a GLP-1, which has helped me tremendously. So listen, if you're on a GLP-1, take good extra care of yourself, because sometimes it can be very hard on your body. But if you are seeing great success, take care of yourself. Get into the good habits that you absolutely can develop into so that you can eventually come off the GLP-1, so that you're using food and exercise and meditation or whatever it is that keeps you centered, so that you can balance how you feel, your hormones, your body, your mental state. All of it plays a part. So listen, don't let PCOS beat you down. And I've been there. Full on depression in 2024. I broke out with this rash around my lips. I have no idea. I've never had that happen before, but it's a symptom of being extremely stressed. Again, the heaviest I've ever been was over 300 pounds. By this time last year, I was about 297. And then I was trying to monitor my sugar, because one day I ate something and I passed out. I was exhausted, like literally my sugar spiked, and I woke up and I felt absolutely groggy, and I realized, oh my goodness, something's wrong. So I tested my sugar, and my sugar is like 275, and that's super high for me. And so, or my glucose level anyway was 275, and I was like, I got to go to the ER. I had no insulin shots, nothing. I'm like, I'm going to the ER. And so by the time I got to the ER, it was like 212, which means it was going down. So apparently, when I finally had tested my sugar, it was peaking. And so the ER doctor says you have to go back to your doctor and get tested and get on a regimen, because it is clear that your body is having a hard time, is under stress. So they asked me, like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm struggling. Work is working. It's stressing me out. Life is a bit challenging for me. And I think we just have to be able to communicate those things. So it's taken me almost a year to get to a place where, one, I have wisdom and knowledge and understanding now. I know what my resources are now. I feel better. I'm exercising, not as much as I probably should be. Well, not even probably. I'm not. I'm doing more stretching. Like I'll get up in the morning and just kind of get around, get my body moving and stretching. But I really need to get into the gym consistently, just so I can feel better. And that at some point in my life, I can come off the GLP-1. That's my goal, right? And that my body is not completely codependent on this particular on a medicine. I want my body to be able to function and feel healed. But part of that is being intentional. The other part of that, I am 44. Okay. We're talking perimenopause, like premenopause symptoms now. So there's a lot going on, and I have to be vigilant, and I have to be made aware, constantly aware of where I am mentally. I've developed boundaries where I'm able to say no. I love everyone, but some people I just can't talk to. If I can't talk to you, don't take it personally. It is literally, I'm just not in a good space, or I'm at my capacity. And so I think it's really important that we give each other grace, but give yourself grace. You can't show up perfect every single day. And it's okay. It's when you don't show up at all, and you allow your symptoms and how you feel take heed or take control of you. So don't do that. So here's the thing. I am glad that tonight that you are with me. You're hanging out with me. I hope that you're living boldly. Listen, this is not the time to back down. This is time to gear up. And it's difficult. It's taken me a year. And I'm still not 100% where I want to be. Give yourself grace. The only time clock is you, right? Don't let it beat you down. So before I close tonight, I want to leave you with a reminder that PCOS does not, absolutely never define you. PCOS does not define you. So whatever you want to do, you can do. However you want to feel, there is something out there. There is a combination of tools and resources and supplements and techniques that could get you where you want to be. So it is important that you do not get weary. If you know someone that's going through that has PCOS, listen, then hang out with them, encourage them, be their best. If you guys go out to eat, don't beat them down. Ever like, no, I really shouldn't have this. Then say, okay, what can we have? Right? Be their biggest support system. Don't make them feel like they're missing out. They really are trying to accomplish something to where they're in a good space, right? They want to be healthy. So remember, PCOS does not define you. I hope you remember that. It's really, really important. And so it may not, and again, PCOS is part of your story, but it's not your whole story. Okay. So thriving with PCOS is possible. I don't want you trying to survive it. Just thrive, because you have life. There's breath in you. There's creativity in you. There's things you can accomplish in you. So thrive. Do not try to survive, but thrive. And if you need a community, you have PCOS Awareness Association. You have other communities out there. It's time to connect. So listen. I want to invite you to stay connected. This is Thrive. This is my Thrive With Me series. We're going to continue this every week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen, I am super excited. I'm one of the co-founders of PCOS Awareness Association. So if you want more information, if you want community, if you're looking for resources, definitely go to www.pcosaa.org. Okay. I want you to find a place where you feel like you belong. But this series is my personal series. This is my journey. One, I want to raise awareness for PCOS. Two, fundraise for PCOS Awareness Association so we can help support research with Cornell University. But I also want to create a space in my community that, hey, if you have symptoms or you are struggling with PCOS, or you're in my community and you want to know what it's like with Monica when I am just not okay, then I want you to connect. And just know that with this series, it's 6 weeks. So we will end at the end of September for PCOS Awareness Month. But each session, I'm going to highlight different parts of living boldly with PCOS. And so if tonight encouraged you, please share, replay with a friend, a sister, or a wife, mother, whoever in your life that may need this. But I'm also committed with raising $750 for PCOS. So Awareness Association during the series. So I need you to join my Thriving Squad. All right. So we're raising $750 for PCOS during the PCOS Awareness Month. I am starting a little early because everybody needs a little time. But the PCOS AA funds research. We support women through education and resources, and we build community. We have a community called the Shades of Teal Network. So we're all living with this condition. Those who have it, you may know someone who may have it. Let's support them. If you like to give towards the effort, I hope you do. I hope my fam comes through. Make sure you click the link. The link is at the bottom of your screen. That's www.bit.ly/TWM2026. We'll change it to 2025, but it's 2026 tonight. Join the Thriving Squad or just donate to my page because I'm fundraising. I hope that you decide to give to the fundraising because it's really important that you support an organization that's trying to make a difference. But if anything, if you love me, support me because I really want to make a difference. But if anything, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I'm super excited. Hello, Felicia. You're on YouTube. You look fantastic. Felicia and I have known each other for many years, more in ministry than anything, but she has she's helping women who have conditions. So thank you so much for joining tonight and hanging out with me. There's others who are commenting. Let's see. Others are. Oh, great. So I'm so glad to see so many of you who are thinking this is great information. I hope that you will consider joining either that or share the fundraiser. You can share, you can join a team. We have all month. I'm just starting 2 weeks early, a 6-week series. We're going to talk about next week. We are going to go dive deeper into the actual symptoms of PCOS, right? We're going to talk about the mental health pressure. It is horrific. Anxiety and depression will happen like that. If your hormones are off, the stress will resonate differently. And so you could be having extreme anxiety and then all of a sudden you'd be fully depressed. 2024 was very hard for me. I've been through a lot in my life, but 2024 really, really got to me. And I cannot tell you how difficult it has been to come out of depression. I don't know how people do it. Walking their way out of depression. But I need you to be clear. I've never met someone that has walked out of depression in a couple of days. But I do know it's taken me time to come out of depression. So from August 30th of last year to about January of this year, I had to really be intentional about my time and getting up. And because it's easy to be like, I don't want to do it. It's just too much. It really took a toll on me. So I am saying to all of you in the room, let's be clear. Depression is difficult. Mental health is huge. It plays a part in, your health. So do not take it lightly. Join me next week. I think I might have to do it Wednesday because I'm actually traveling. I am a professional in cybersecurity and compliance. So I actually want to start Wednesday, not Thursday. I will, and will have a guest hopefully on Thursday, but we do have some guests lined up. We'll talk about nutrition. We'll talk about, and on the 4th, we'll talk about nutrition. And on the 5th, we'll talk about, or the 5th session, we'll talk about, third session, we'll talk about nutrition. 4th session, we'll talk about moving. 5th session, we'll talk about faith and your femininity. I have a great guest for that. And then on the 6th session, we'll have the founder of PCOS AA on the live with me. And we'll talk about our own journey, her journey, and then what we've experienced over the last almost over a decade of leading the organization. So thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with me. But most of all, thank you so much for showing up tonight. Your presence means more to me than anything. Just know that you're not alone. You're stronger than you think. And together we can change the conversation around PCOS. So listen, if you don't do anything else, make sure you thrive. You are thriving all day and you're living boldly with PCOS. So until next time, thanks everybody.